All right, so let me know if the lighting is troublesome for you at any point, or if you can't see anything, I'll try and adjust. Just gonna start with a bit of a warm up. So just bring the head to the shoulder on one side, gently and slowly roll it forward to chin to chest, and then here to the other shoulder, and then coming back the same way. We're just letting gravity do the work here. We're not trying to strain it. We're just trying to loosen it up a little bit. Let's try and take into a full circle around in one direction. And back the other way. And let's just roll those shoulders out. So really stretch them to the back of your shoulder blades. Get a nice motion going. And coming forwards. And then arm circles forward to really stretch them out. I just like to think of this warm-up stretch. This is a good way just to go, oh, big yawns into the body and back. So try and enjoy them as much as possible. All right, let's get those hips a swing. So just some little circles. Make them big if you want, really start to open up the hips. And back the other way. All right. If you want, you can hold onto the wall, a chair or table, something. I'm just going to do some hip circles. So all we're doing is opening up the hip flexor by rotating the hip backwards. So you can put your foot on the ground in between each one if you need to. If you want to push yourself so you're working a bit more on balance on the other leg, just let it keep going around. And back the other way. And the other leg. So going backwards. And forwards. Just do some little knee circles. I'm just going to spotlight myself to make it a bit easier for people in case sound comes on. There we go. That way I can also check if my lighting is really, really bad. And coming around the other way. And do some little ankle circles. So generally trying to reach as far as you can in each direction. Really point it out, flex it up. And back the other way. And the other side. And coming around the other way again. Going to do a little hamstring and quad stretch. So I'm going to put both our feet facing in one direction, hips over the top. We're going to focus on our knees going in the same direction. What we're going to start with is 2 straight legs. Kneel forward on the front leg, keep the back heel down on the back leg. So you're getting a nice long stretch up the back of it. And then gently shift back to center. And then as you bend your back knee, bring up the toes of the front foot. Then you're getting a nice hamstring stretch up the front of the front foot. And so just gently taking it between the 2 positions. We're just warming up those parts of the body. We're doing a very strange and elegant little dance here. And we'll swap sides. So both straight, kneel forward the front leg, and then come back, go up the toes on the front foot. Yeah. Last little ones, just going to warm up the feet themselves. So keeping both feet pointing forward underneath your hips. Make sure your knees are coming straight up in front of you as well. We're just going to come up into the balls of our feet, really stretching and warming up our calves and our thighs. So squeeze all your legs to come up. It'll help you keep the balance and roll it down. So you want to keep it controlled up and down. So really starting to warm them up. take your wrists, place them together, fingers interlaced. Just going to warm up the wrist with a few little wrist circles. And back the other way. Just shake it all out. I remember at any time, if you can't see anything or you need more of an explanation, just let me know. Feel free to stop and grab a drink whenever you need to, like now. And so we're just going to start with our normal sort of gore, which is our warm-up with our multidachi. So grab your Naginata or simulacra. So, starting facing each other. So just to review, this position here is called shizentai. It's a standing neutral position. It's basically an on-guard position, ready to start or end a session. Our left hand, our fingers are closed, resting down by our left thigh. Our right wrist is resting on our hip, and just close gently over the Naginata. The base of your weapon, if it's long enough at the moment, should be creating a bit of a triangle with your left toes, but quite close. So squeeze everything up through the body, nice and straight. Remember, as we bow, it's as if someone's pushed us in at the belly button. So our backside doesn't go out, our top half bends forward. So maintaining your eyes on me. Red. Shuro no kumai, left hand on top, step out with the left foot and left hand. Check your back distance, check your shoulder distance, and then right hand will sit where your groin meets your leg. Ayumi ashi, mai, ich, ni, san, shi. Ayumi ashi, ato, ich, ni, san, shi. Ayumi ashi, mai. Ayumi ashi, ato. Sugi ashi, mai. Sugi ashi, mai. Sugi ashi, ato. Sugi ashi, ato. Sugi ashi, mai. Sugi ashi, mai. Sugi ashi, ato. Sugi ashi, ato. Okuri ashi, mai. 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 Okuri ashi, ato. 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 Mai. Mai. Ato. 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 Mai. Furiagete. Meno. Ute. Mip. Sugiashi. Furiagete. Meno. Ute. Mip. Furiagete. Meno. Ute. Mip. Furiagete. Sneo. Ute. Ne. Furiagete. Sneo. Ute. Ne. Furiagete. Sneo. Ute. Ne. Sokumen. So this is the side of the head. Sokumeno ute, coming to hustle. Men. Sokumeno ute. Men. Sokumeno ute. Men. Sokumeno ute. Men. We're going to do some sayu cuts. So this means on both sides. So you do 2 in a row. You don't need to go into 2 down between. Sayu meno ute. Men. Men. My bad. I should have done that straight through. I was just looking something else going on. We'll do that again. Sayu meno ute. Men. Men. Snail ute. So come into hustle. Ne. Snail ute. Ne. Snail ute. Ne. Snail ute. Ne. Sayu. So again, 2 cuts right after each other. Sayu. Snail ute. Ne. Ne. We're going to do do or ute, so this is coming into waki no kamae. So just get into waki, push down with the backhand, bring your hands to the center, rotate the weapon over. Make sure you have a hand's width or a fist width between your hands and your hips. So going forward for do ute, pivot on the left foot and come back. Waki no kamae, hands together, rotate the weapon over. Do ute, do. So remember, when you're coming from do, let the front hand roll it over the front leg. That'll help generate some of that power for you. So, waki no kamae. Do ute, do. Do ute, do. I won't get you to do so because most people don't have enough room. Let's go into Uchikaeshi. So remember, the blade drops behind your body. You bring your hands to center, and then you step through almost as if it's a furiagate motion. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, so drop behind, hands center, step forward with the right. You should have your right hand forward now. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, rotate the hips, hands come together over the head. Men. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, rotate the hips, hands above. Men. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, rotate, hands together, step through. One more time. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, rotate, hands together, step through. Step. And last one on the side. Uchikaeshi, meno ute, men. Good. Let's just review our harai motion. So if you're standing in shudan, harai is normally used when you pull the weapon in slightly. So if we imagine we're blocking a men cut, we pull the weapon in by our sendamaku near the top of the weapon. So if we're going to harai to our right, we're basically going to let our left hand, our front hand, slide down the weapon as we pivot a little bit on our back wrist. So we use that to generate our power. So you can see my wrist here is trying to angle it down. This one's just guiding the motion, it's not powering it, and we'll step back at the same time. So just doing a harai, we step back and let the front hand drop. This is more extreme than it needs to be, but it's a good way to get feel for the angle. So, all right. Back to block. 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 Now we can do it the other way. So in this case, we're letting our left hand slide or angle down towards our left leg, and our right hand is going to pivot a little bit backwards towards the back of our body. So again, if we're in block, so haraiing to the left hand still comes down to create that nice angle. And block, all right? And block, all right? And block, all right? And block, all right? So the other one we looked at are Makyotoshi. Sorry, I know the lighting's going very funny in here and I do apologize. So Makyotoshi is more about not just a harai, it's using the curve of the weapon to curl over the top, capture theirs, and then fling it down. So you have a lot more control in where you're throwing the weapon. So again, coming from that block position, use your left hand to rotate your fingers from the little finger all the way up to your thumb. Rotate, so your weapon turns over, and then harai. So back from the block, rotate the fingers, and harai. Again, if I'm using something that isn't a naginata, so I've just put a little bit of tape here to signify the top face for me. Coming a little bit closer. So I'm going to rotate with my back hand, so rotate so you can see the tape's turned around, and then harai. Tape to the top, rotate the fingers, harai. Rotate, harai. Rotate, harai. Rotate, harai. So that's your Makyotoshi. Rotate, harai. Technically, you can do it the other way. It's not very simple because your fingers are rolling backwards, but there's no reason you can't do it. It's just not very common. So I'm not going to worry about that one too much. Grab a quick drink. Does anyone have any questions or issues or anything they want me to review again for them? No? All right. So I'm not going to bother with kata number 1 and 2 for today. What I would like to start with instead is looking at 3 and 5. So just reviewing number 3 and number 5, they are very, very similar. So kata number 3, if you are the shikaki or the attacker, you're going into waki no gamai. You strike door. They give you a harai, which throws you into furikaeshi men. So if this is number 3, you're going to go into, you're basically going to hold there while they do Makyotoshi and then strike a door. Come back to center and you would retreat. If you are the receiver for number 3, so they come in, they strike door, I pull back and block door. I do a harai down to my left. They come in for furikaeshi men, I step back and block men. For number 3, at this point, I'm going to do my makyotoshi. I'll roll my fingers over the top, harai, then step through, furiagate men. 2 steps back, each knee. They come back to chudan, and I walk them back 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's just do the Shiitake roll for the moment. Coming into chudan no gamai. So we're going to initiate this attack. We're going to go into waki no gamai. Nice and smooth. Remember to roll it over your left hip as you go door. From this point, they're going to knock your naginata down into your right. So rotate your hips, let it come down beside you, and do furiagate men. Sorry, furikaeshi. From here, they're doing a makyotoshi, which is going to throw your weapon in front of you, opening up your door. They'll come back, strike door. As they come back to we're going to bring our weapons slowly back to center, and they're going to walk us back 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. So doing this facing on with you. So we come into waki no gamai. We go do. They give us a harai. It's going to push it to our right. We're going to step through furikaeshi men. They're going to do makyotoshi, so they're going to throw us down here. Open up our door. They'll strike door. They'll step back. We bring our weapon to center, and we retreat. So this time, I'm going to get you to continue that roll. I'm going to be the uchi so you can see the receiver part. So from here, you go into waki no gamai, and now you're going to strike door. I pull back. I'm going to harai your weapon down to your left. You're going to go to furikaeshi men, which I block. At this point, I rotate my fingers, grab your weapon with makyotoshi, and throw it down. So your weapon is now, your door is now open. I step forward, men, because your head is nice and clear. 2 steps back, ich, ni. You bring your weapon back to mine, and I walk you backwards 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. We'll do that once more. From chudan, you go into waki no gamai. You'll strike do, so my back, I block. I'm going to give you a harai down to your right. You're going to do furikaeshi men, which I block. I now curl over the top of your weapon. I give makyotoshi, opening up your door. Then I take 2 steps back, ich, ni. You bring your weapon back to center, and I walk you back 4 steps. Excuse me. We're going to swap bowls. We're going to look at the uchi roll, which I was just doing. So, chudan no gamai. They go into waki no gamai, and they're going to strike door. So they're aiming for our back towards here. So we pull the weapon back, and we block at our door height. From here, we use our left hand going behind us and our right wrist to facilitate a harai as we step back. They come in for furikaeshi men. We step back, raise our weapon to block men. Curl your fingers, little finger, all the way up to the thumb. Step back and harai. Step forward, furiagate men. Men. 2 steps backward, bring your hands down into chudan. They bring their weapon back to meet yours. And you're going to walk them forward 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. So you can see this is where I basically started at the beginning of the kata. This is where I'm trying to return our partnership to. We'll do that once more. They go into waki no gamae. They go strike the door, we pull back, block the door. We're going to rise, we step back. They're going to go for men, we step back and block. We wrap our left fingers, our right fingers, sorry, and do Makyotoshis, we step back. We step forward with Furiagate men. Men. 2 steps back, dropping your left hand back to Chudan. They return to Chudan, and we walk them back 4 steps to where we started. Ich, ni, san, shi. This time I'm going to do the Shiitake Roll towards you so that you can receive. So from here, I come into waki no gamae. I'm going to step forward and strike go. You're going to step back and block. You're going to step back and harai my weapon. Pushes me back here. You're going to step back and block men. You're going to Makyotoshi, so wrap your fingers around your weapon and harai, opening up my door. Sorry, my men. You're going to step back and do Uchikaeshi men. 2 steps back, lowering back to Chura no Kamae. I bring my weapon back to center, and you walk me backwards 4 steps. We'll do that one more time. I come into waki no gamae. I come forward with door, you block. You step back and harai. You step back and block men. You rotate your fingers for Makyotoshi and step back as you do the maki. You're going to step and do Furiagate men. 2 steps back, low into Chura no Kamae. I come back to center, and you push me back 4 steps. So, ich, ni, san, shi. Good. Do any of you have any questions about kata number 3 at this point? Anything I wasn't clear on, or you just want to go over again? Nope, all good? All right. So let's review number 5. Number 5 is almost the same. So for the shikata, or shidachi, almost literally the same. We start in Chudan. We go to waki no gamae. We do do. They give us the harai to do Uchikaeshi men. From here, the only difference is if they knock our weapon out with an otoshi, they step back and do dotsuki. We bring our weapon back under us, they come back to Chudan, and we come back 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. So it's almost the same. For the uchi, this is where the difference comes in. So you start in Chudan no Kamae. They're going to come forward and do do. We're going to pull back, step back and block. Same as number 5. We again do the harais, we step back. Same as number 5. They come to men, we step back and block men. Same as number 5. The difference here is that from this block, we're going to bring our right foot forward and then our left foot back as we bring our weapon up and across. So we're rolling it across our body to get this nice, strong push across. From here, we're going to step back. As we step back to the left, we're going to raise our left hand, drawing the weapon through our right to end up with this nice long position. And from here, we're going to step forward with our right foot and slide our Naginata through our right to strike the door. As we step back 2 steps, we're going to throw the weapon back behind us into a kind of waki no gamae position. We step through with our left, bring our weapon over the top, return to Chudan. And then we walk them back 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. Or forward at our pace. All right, so let's go over the uchi roll again. We start in Chudan no Kamae. They come forward and they strike go. So we pull through and block. We step back and harai. We step back and we block. From here, we're going to, so I'll just taste rotation foot. We're going to step through with our right foot, bring our left foot back, bring the weapon across, pull it up with our left hand, down with our right, step forward, striking door. Pull the weapon back, so we step back 2 steps, ich, ni. As we step through the left foot, bring the left arm over and back down to Chudan. We're going to push them forward 4 steps. Ich, ni, san, shi. Okay. So for this one, I'm going to act as the shidachi. I'm going to get you to act as the uchi. So you're going to do the uchi roll, which we've just practiced. Sorry, my brain's having trouble with terminology this morning. So we both start in shura no kamae. I go into waki no kamae. I'm coming forward door for do, so you step backwards and block door. You're going to step back as you do harai. As I do furikaeshi, you're going to step back and block men. From here, you're going to step and do 180 degrees, knocking my weapon out. Pull back, raising your left arm, dropping your right. Then step forward and thrust at my door. Take 2 steps back, lowering your weapon to shura no kamae. Step through with your left foot, so you'll bring the weapon over the top to return you to shura no kamae. And then you push me back 4 steps. So, ich, ni, san, shi. We'll do that one again. Shura no kamae. I go into waki no kamae. I'm coming for do, you step back and block do. You give me a harai as you step back. You block men as you step back. You're going to step through 180 degrees and knock my weapon out of the way. You're going to step back, raise your left hand, come in, straight door. 2 steps back, bring the weapon back to waki no kamae. Step through with the left foot, bring the arm over to come back to shudan. Walk me back 4 steps. Good. Do either of you have any queries about number 5 at all, or any of these techniques? I said it's very similar to number 3. And it is obviously a bit harder when you don't have the, I guess, proprioception, so that feedback from your partner in terms of the weapon or the movement. But if you can get the concepts, it'll be much easier when you're actually doing it live with someone. Check the time, so that's half an hour. All right, so next thing I want to do is just review Uchikaeshi. So we did go over that in the last few weeks, and we've done both the forwards and the backwards version. So, quick review, starting in shura no kamae. So basically, this is the same steps forwards as backwards. It's just which way our movement is going. We start in shura. We do furiagate men. Men. We go into hustle. We're going to do sayu men. 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 We're going to go into hustle and do sayu sne. 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 And then we tsugiyashi backwards. Bring us back to shudan. We're going to continue. So all our furiagate men cuts go forward. So go forward, furiagate men. Now as we come into hustle, we're going to step backwards. So hustle men stepping back. Hustle men stepping back. Hustle snare stepping back. Hustle snare stepping back. Tsugiyashi back. One last furiagate men. Men. And tsugiyashi back. So all the tsugiyashis are backwards, all the furiagate men are forward. Everything else will change direction depending on which part of the sequence we're doing. So we'll run through that one more time. Shura no kamae. Furiagate men. Men. Hustle men. Men. Hustle men. Men. Hustle snare. Snare. Hustle snare. Snare. Tsugiyashi backwards. Furiagate men forwards. Men. Hustle men. Going backwards. Men. Hustle men going backwards. Men. Hustle snare going backwards. Men. Hustle snare going backwards. Men. Tsugiyashi backwards. Final furiagate men going forward. Men. So this is Uchikaeshi. So this has both the forward and the backward motion. Do either of you have any questions about the pattern at all? We're all both pretty happy. Question? So I can see Effie going for the mute button there.
Sorry, it takes forever for it to want to display. I don't. What's the difference between a kata and this that other pattern, the Tsugiyashi?
Okay. To be honest, there's not a big difference. They are both patterns, so they're set patterns. The difference is kata are a set partner pattern that is generally used to show off all the basic techniques and is used in grading. They do use Uchikaeshi in grading as well, but these are specific kata. So yeah, technically there's not really much difference. It's just the kata as a set are designed to show off all your techniques. Uchikaeshi is only designed to show off a few very specific basic ones, if that helps.
Okay, so one's sort of like practice, and the other one's for
it's a set
competition, showing off things.
Yeah, so for competition, you certainly see kata. You don't see Uchikaeshi for competition. For gradings, when you're doing low-level gradings, you might start with Uchikaeshi and you might have a few of the kata. But the kata needs to be kind of regarded as a full set, so the full 8. And in that full 8 kata, you are learning pretty much all the techniques that make up Naginata.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, they are still patterns. It's just, how they're actually defined is just a little bit different. Okay, now the blocks for Uchikaeshi is where it gets interesting. So we've done a few of these already. They're coming forward for Furiaga to the men. So we step back and do our standard men block. Nice and easy. Everything from here, as you remember, we just turn 180 degrees and we try and block with the other end of the weapon. So if we started our first block here, our next block is men cuts. We turn, we raise the butt of the weapon up, block men. We have another men cut, so we turn backwards and we raise the blade back up. From here, we're now blocking snake cuts. So we have to drop the weapon, the butt of the weapon, to keep it down below, which is nice and easy from this position. As we turn, we just keep the weapon at its same height and just thrust it out a little bit. This next one is the hardest one because we actually have to rotate the weapon. As we step back, we're going to pull it up with our left hand, and then as our right hand extends down, we can then push it through the left hand to block straight. And this one is the more difficult of all the blocks, just to get a handle on. So let's start back from Shudan. Again, I have to rotate around to try and show you all the techniques. So we step back and block men. We turn and bring the butt of the weapon up to block men. We turn and bring the blade up to block men. We turn around, keep it at the same height and block snare. As we turn for this last one, pull it up through the left hand, through the right hand, bring it over and block snare. We then come back to Chudan because they've come back into Tsugiyashi, Chudan no Kumae. They're then going to do another Furiaga to men coming forward. So we step back and block men again. Now we've got the 2 men blocks and the 2 snare blocks, but we're now going forward. So again, the butt of the weapon comes through, but we step forward and block. We're going to step through and block men again. Bring it around. We're going to step through and block snare. Again, just rotate it around the body, push it out. We need to step through and block snare again. So we pull it up with our left hand, over the body, and down. They're going to step back into Tsugiyashi. We're going to just bring our weapon back to Chudan no Kumae. And then they're going to come back and do one final men cut. And so for the end of this round, we step back and do a base men block. They then come to Chudan. We come back to Chudan as well. So it's a complicated set of blocks. Most of them should feel a bit more natural. It's the last one, the second snake block, that tends to be a bit weird. So don't worry if that gets a little messy. Let's just try working our way through. So Chudan no Kumae. Step back and block men. Turn and block men. Turn and block men. Turn and block snare. Bring it over, turn and block snare. Bring your weapon back to Chudan no Kumae. They're coming forward again for Furiaga to men, so step back and block men. Now we're pushing them back, so we step forward and block men. Turn and block men. Turn and block snare. Bring it over, turn and block snare. They'll step back into Tsugiyashi. They're going to do one more Furiaga to men, so we bring our left foot back, bring both hands up and block men again. We return back to Chudan no Kumae, and that is the end of the pattern. Now, I'm just going to check with both of you, how are you going with the blocks? Mostly okay? Good. Don't worry if it's a bit messy. These are it's not an easy pattern to get when you don't have the feedback from the other weapon.
Could we try those ones that go over the top again, both the second one and the 8th?
Yeah, they are very weird, so don't stress too much. So first block we're here up in men. So for the first or the second block, all I want you to do is rotate it off the hip and bring the other end up as you turn around. So all I'm doing is I'm kind of bring it down on that 45-degree angle, and I'm rolling it at the hip to get that second men block. The third men block, again, roll it down off that hip so it comes up with you. So it's basically rolling, so down to the hip, down to the hip, down to the hip, down to the hip. Those are the first ones for those hustle men blocks. So men block, roll it down the hip, roll it down the hip. For the next snei block, all you really need to do is step backwards and roll it around that hip to keep it at that height. If you've got a full naginata, you'll actually find you'll be pushing it out and down a little bit to block, but don't worry if you've got a short stick. I'll do it with the mop handle just so I'm dealing with the same kind of issues as you are. So again, men, roll it down off my hip, block men. Roll it down off my hip, block men. Roll it around my sternum, my chest, to stay down, and I can push it out a little. With this last one, use your left hand, draw it up through your right hand, and you're going to bring it forward, a bit like you're doing Furiagate Men. So bring it over and rotate it all the way down into what we call Gedan. So this one is the harder one here. So, sorry, and I know the lighting in here has gone very funny. Problems with working outside and having problems with light differentials. So from shooter, pull back, block men. Rotate off the left hip and bring it up for men. Rotate off the right hip, bring it up for men. Rotate it around your center. So it's not turning up and down, it's just rotating around your center as you push it down towards your leg. As your right foot comes backward, pull your left hand up, let your right hand slide over the top, bring it over with the left hand, bring it down with the left hand, and bring your right arm. So you're aiming to end in what is Gedan no Kamae. Does that help at all, Effie? I know it's not easy to follow online. Yeah, cool. Alrighty, grab a quick drink. I know I need one. So you've done a really nice coverage today already. You've done all your basic cuts. You've done basic blocks, Uchikaeshi forward and backwards, Kata 3, Kata 5. So it's a really nice set of techniques. What I will do is I'm going to teach you another cutting technique. It's very similar to the ones you've already done, but it's a new target. And what we're cutting here is Cortex. So when you're doing Naginata, the Cortex target is basically this thin band around the base of the wrist. So you're not aiming at the fingers, you're not aiming at the forearm, it's a very thin band. When we're in shiai or in bogu, which is our armor, there is actually a little discolored section, a little bit more protected, that you can use as your target point for Kote. Now, because Kote, this joint is quite fragile compared to the rest of our body, we're not trying to break anyone's wrist, so we need a fair bit of control. So Kote is there's one basically from Furiagate Men. So if I show you a Furiagate Men cut, that's quite a big wide swing back. Furiagate Kote is all we're doing. So we're not coming all the way back. What happens is we bring our back foot around. So all that's happened, we rotate that hip, our back foot will come forward slightly, it doesn't come to meet. Get this up here and show off my lovely leggings. So as we swing up partly to Furiagate, not the full way, just the low one, our hip rotates, our foot comes up, and then we push off from this leg, do a very short step forward to do Kote. So the Kote height is slightly below your Chura no Kamae. If this is Chura, Kote, you'll let the left hand slip a little further, become just below Kote, Chura. So, starting from Chura no Kamae, turn your whole body forward, rotate on those hips, bring the ball of the right foot up, Don't let it go past about your right hand in front of your forehead. Push off that right foot. Kote. Try and show you from the front. So rotate. My Naginata is still kind of in front of my face. Kote. So kote or te. Rotate. Kote. And you don't have to step very far because their wrist is further in front of their body. So men, you have to step further in because here, kote is out here. So it's not as big a step, which is again why we're not stepping through. So kote, te, kote o te, te, kote o te, rotate, te, kote o te, rotate, kote, kote o te, rotate, kote. That makes sense? Any questions, any queries, any problems? No? Pretty good? Oh, I've got a question coming, I can see.
Sorry, I'm in question mode.
That's all good.
So that I was watching some of the final Naginatas, and I was watching how they sparred. So could that be used as a fake?
Absolutely. Everything can be used as a fake, which is kind of the fun part. One of the hard parts when people are learning to do boga work and shiai is their body and their eyes tend to give them away. So when you're new to it, the first thing you want to do is actually look at your target point. So you go, I'm going for snake. And so your head and your eye line goes down. If you're going for men, your eye line and your focus stays up. So you can start using those to judge what's going on. However, if the other person doesn't know you very well, potentially you can use that to throw them off target. So you can be looking down at kote, pretend to go for kote, and go for a completely different cut. Or pretend you're going for men and then come down to kote. So absolutely, you can feint with it. You can use it to put pressure on a person. So if I did a kote cut and I didn't try and complete it, or I didn't finish it, maybe I come through for snake. Or if I go kote, snake. So there are different ways of using all the techniques to act as a feint. Or you may decide partway through not to complete the cut because you're going to not going to make it and move to a different target. You don't have to do full technique in shiai. So in shiai, you're never going to see people do a full furiagate me. Too telling. You're almost never going to see people do Uchikaeshi. Takes too long. So a furiagate men cut in shiai may be as simple as that, or kote, or hustle. They're already moving in as before they finished hustle. So all the techniques can be used as feints, as fake outs, as continuations, or as part of a set of strikes. So lots of different ways you can use it. Checking the time there.
Thank you.
No problem. All righty. So we've basically looked at most of the target points in the body. There is only one left, and this is one I generally leave for a little while because it's nodo. It's a very tender target. We're not going to play with nodo for a while. But the kote is a very refined movement. You don't want to go too strong because even when we have the bamboo half, you can do a lot of bruising if you put too much force. So it's about controlling your tenuch, that squeeze at the end of the cut, to only give enough force to make the target known, but not do any damage. Alrighty. Anyone, either of you have any questions about any techniques at all or anything else at this point? I'm just going to grab a quick drink. No? All right. Okay, so what have we done? Kata 3, Kata 5. We haven't done 4. I'm not sure whether to throw 4 at you or just to do some waza. What would you prefer?
Are there only the 5 katas?
You have 8. At least for the basic Shiitake Roll. Oh, really? So there, a lot of the times when you're looking online, some of the engi competition, which is kata competitions, they may only do the first 5 kata. It depends on the level of the participant. But there are 8 kata. So 1 through 5 are very basic. Sorry, you were saying anything?
No, I'm just trying to find my muty thing again.
That's okay. So yeah, so Shiitake Oji kata which are the ones you learn for your grading and all your basic techniques. There are 8 of them. So the first 5, you have a very definite attacker and receiver startup. With 6, 7, and 8, you both move into a new kamae together. So, for example, in kata number 6, you both start in shudan, but together, one of you moves into hustle, while the other person moves into waki no kamae. And you need to be doing that at the same time. So you start at the same time, you try and finish at the same time, but one of you has further to go. And then you start the technique. Number 7 and 8, you both, again, you move from shudan into specific kamae before you start the rest of the pattern. So these ones require a lot more timing, paying much more attention to your partner, because you can really see the difference when you aren't working together. The techniques are, I wouldn't say that much more complicated. You've got the basics of a lot of them, but I don't want to throw too many cards at you at the moment. Number 4 is the only one we haven't run through, and that's mostly because 3 and 5 being so similar, it's easy to do them together. I can't remember the other reason for not doing 4 yet. So let's have a little bit of a look at 4, and I'll find out if it's a problem in a minute. Again, you start in shudan no kamae. We'll start as the shidachi or shikata. We're going to come up into hustle. And from here, we're going to do snake up. But this is a very unusual snake up, and in this case, we need to cut very deep. We need to make sure we are actually reaching our target. So we deep snake, and from there, we push back off the right foot, pull our weapon in to block men. So it's quite a lot of power in this. We come into hustle, snake, use your right foot to push you back, and pull up into men block. From here, you're going to harai down to your right, so harai, and they do Uchikaeshi men. They'll come back they'll come back to the center position. We step back with our right foot, bring our hands together, step forward into chudan. And we do not walk backward or forward. Number 4, you have to have your distances correct. You have to be watching where you're moving, because you do not get a chance to go back to center. So there's no walk back to center. So again, we start in shudan no kamae. We come up to hustle. We go snare. Immediately push back into men block. Step back and do harai. We've left ourselves open for a men cut. We bring our right foot back. We bring our hands to the center. And we step forward with the left foot back into shudan no kamae. So hopefully we are back where we started the cut. All right, so I'm going to show you the uchi roll. You can work through it with me if you want. So we're both in shudan. As they come for hustle or snake, my front foot, we're going to do one of those little techniques we talked about the other week, which is we move our leg out of the way. So pitch this up here. There we go. So as they come for our snake, we're actually going to go into a bit like a furiagate position, rotating on our right foot, bring our left foot back, and we come straight down on top of them for men. So we practice this one of the waza the other way. They give us a harai, pushing our weapon behind us to the left, do furiagate, men. We take 2 steps back, each knee. We're on the wrong side for chudan no kamae, so we're going to step back with our right foot, bring our hands together. They do the same. We step forward with our left foot to chudan no kamae. And again, I'm back where I started. So distances and targets are really important so that you don't end up shifting off center. So again, with chudan no kamae, they coming for our snare. We rotate on our right foot, bring our left foot back, bring our hands up, step forward the left foot, furiagate men. They do a harai, goes behind us, we step forward, men. 2 steps back, bring our hands back to chudan, each knee. Step back with the right foot, hands together. Step forward, left foot, back to chudan no kamae. So that's the complete equation. I'm going to get you to do the Shiitake roll, which again is basically coming into hustle, snake, step back, harai. So I'll talk you through your roll. I'm going to do the uchi roll for you. So we start in shudan. You're going to do hustle, snake. And I've avoided. You're going to push back off the right foot, step back and block men. You're going to give me a harai as you step backwards, so harai. and I attack men. From here, I'm taking 2 steps backwards, coming back to Chudan. So each knee. We're both on the wrong side to finish. So we step back, bring our hands together. We step forward with our left foot into Chudan. And if we're lucky, we're back where we start. We'll do that one again. So Chudan no Kamae. You're going Hasto Sne, and I avoid. You step back, so push back and block men. Step back and do Harai. I come through and do men. I take 2 steps back, each knee. We both bring our feet together backwards, hands together, step forward into Chudan no Kamae. One last time. You go Hasto Sne. I step back and avoid. You push back and block men. You step back and do Harai. I retreat each knee. We both pull back, bring our hands together, step forward into Chudan. Do either of you have any questions or queries at this point about that kata? No, we're good? All right, let's swap it around. And I'm checking the time. This time I'm going to get you to be the uchi. So then you start in Chudan. As I come for your snake, you rotate back, bring your left foot back, step forward into men. I'll give you a harai, you do Uchikaeshi, men. 2 steps back, pulling your right hand come down. Again, that step back and exchange. So, Chudan no Kamae. I come into hustle. You're going to rotate, bring back your left foot. And now my men's open, step forward and kick men. I've blocked. I'm going to give you a harai, so you're going to Uchikaeshi, men. 2 steps back, returning to Chudan no Kamae. We both bring our right foot back, our hands together. We step forward with the left foot. And we'll do that one again. Both in Chudan. You're going into, sorry, I'm going into Hasto Sne. So step back, come forward. I've just changed the roles on you two, haven't I? My apologies. I'm having one of those days. So you're coming through with the, I've completely lost which side I had you both on. So I do apologize. I want you as the uchi this point. So I'm the attacker. Did have it right that first time. So I'm coming into Hasto Sne. You're going to rotate back, protect your snake. You're going to come forward for men. I'll block. I'll do harai. You're going to Uchikaeshi men. 2 steps backwards. We bring our right foot back, hands together, step forward with the left. Any questions from either of you, or how are we doing? Apart from the fact that I've obviously lost my mind.
A few more practices and it will be good. And it's a
Alrighty.
cold day and it's Saturday morning.
My feet have been soaked through the entire time. So if I don't have a cold during this week, I'll be very surprised.
Oh, no.
It's the price we pay for our sport. All good. So we're almost at time. Do either of you have any general questions or queries or anything you'd like to go over quickly again before?
I do have a general query, but it's not anything that we've been doing so far.
Okay. Ask away.
So, I was watching the Naginata finals. I can't remember. It was one of the men's finals, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And they seem to always come really close to each other and not be able to use their Nagata.
Yes.
I didn't understand. Is it like boxing where they hug each other, or is it part of the...
It's not something you do much except in boxing. And basically it's a case of, I don't want to move out of distance because you might hit me, but I don't want you to move out of distance because you might hit me. So it's a bit, you see it a lot more in kendo, where they're basically pretty much crossed against each other and pushing. Is this what you're meaning? They're basically struggling next to each other.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you imagine the other Naginatas coming this way and they're going, the problem is if you don't break away strongly enough, you leave your head open, you leave your snei open for attack, unless you can put in an attack as retreat. So a lot of times when people get to that point, they're only allowed to hold it for a few seconds before the judges go, no, stop that. That's not Naginata, separate. And so they separate, but in a more controlled fashion. Normally they come back to center and they start again. So it gives them a way of not having to retreat and get attacked a little bit more safely. Yeah, I think generally 3 seconds is about as long as they'll let you hold something like that. If one of you doesn't break that clash, as it were, the judges will generally call it, say, wakare. So return to center, separate. And they'll come back to Churan at the center normally.
Okay, that makes sense. I didn't understand the scoring either, because they kept on hitting each other and nothing ever seemed to make them win.
Yeah, this is one of the interesting things about the different budo. So in Naginata, they really want you to score beautifully. So if you hit the target, but your posture is bad, or your position is bad, or your hands are bad, or you've hit slightly off because they're in a bad position, they're probably not going to give you the point. So pretty much in all the budo, there are 3 judges. You have 2 on one side, 1 on the other side of the pair, and they rotate around as you move around. And you need 2 judges to agree that it is a good point. If one judge says it's a good point and the others disagree, it's disallowed. So there's a couple of different hand signals they use. So if a judge thinks there's a point, they'll have a red and a white flag. The red for one competitor, white for the other, because you'll have a little scarf tied into your uniform or your boggle. So if they think red wins or has got a point, they'll put up the red flag. If they think white got a point, they'll put up the white flag. 2 judges have to agree at that time that it is the point. So if one puts one up, the other 2 might go, ooh, and waver. And if they don't, no points. If 2 put it up, it's considered a point. They get told to come back to center, and that's Untitled 1 point. But yeah, you could have both. You could have 2 judges, one putting up red, one putting up white, because people hit at the same time. And it's up to the 3rd judge whether to call for one of them or to discount the call. So it's a majority rules on the points. And a lot of the Naginata judges tend to not want to call on, I guess, not great looking points. If that makes sense. So if it looks a little iffy to them, a lot of the time they won't call the point. So Naginata judges are quite tough in their scoring. Kendo players, it's a similar thing. You do tend to get a few more points because it tends to be a little bit cleaner when you can see which one it is. So I don't think Kendo judges are quite as sticklers for form sometimes as Naginata. So you tend to see points scored a little faster in Kendo. And then you get something like Jukendo, which is another form I do, which is bayonet, and then mounted bayonet. Those judges, they go, it's a point. You would have killed someone, that's a point. So Jukendo and Tankendo scoring tends to be a little bit easier, especially when you're starting out. And they try and get you to judge quite early. They go, did it hit? It's a point. Again, they still use the 3 judge system. But it really just depends on your judges. So if you have 3 judges who are huge on it being formed, so posturally correct, distance correct, technique perfect, your kiai has to be done at the same time as the strike and the footwork. So that's hiken taichi, your spirit. If they all decide that all those things need to be perfect to get a strike or a point, you could be going through your match for quite a while, up until the point where it reaches the time limit and it becomes a draw. So yeah, scoring. So scoring can be quite difficult, and there is a lot of subjectivity to it. Literally, it could be a great strike, but if it's on the side where there's only one judge and they're the only one who saw it, the other 2 aren't going to confirm because they didn't see it.
So we really need some tech in there and get a camera replay, video replay.
To put it nicely, they're not keen on that concept, because as you get further up, judging a shiai is part of your grading components as well. How well do you judge? So you need to be able to make calls. But again, it's very much a case of Naginata is very much a stickler for everything being precise and clean and as perfect as possible. I guess it's the idea that if you start giving points to sloppy attacks, that person will keep doing sloppy attacks, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's the mentality behind the difference.
Okay, thanks very much for that. That makes it a lot easier, because I kept on seeing people getting hit, and I was like, but they should have won.
See, you're the judge, but generally the case is that when I said you've got 3 judges, and if 2 of them don't agree, you're not going to get a point. Sometimes it's very clear cut. Sometimes you get a beautiful attack, and they go, yes, okay, that's an absolutely perfect point. But for example, if I did a men cut, but my form is sloppy, they're likely not to want to give me that point. However, if I gave them this beautiful men cut, and I forgot to kiai, or I said the wrong target, I would not get a point. So it has to be beautiful target, kiai, with your footwork. And again, this is bearing in mind that in shiai, everything's a bit shorter, so is acceptable. But again, it's a subjective thing. Judging always is. And you kind of have to hope that you have the judges on your side. The lower down you are in your level, the less fussy they're going to be, especially if both of you are a bit messy. They'll probably be a bit easier. Getting to sort of like the finals or the championships, they are going to be tough. They want the best person to win, so they are not going to get away with sloppy stuff. So that's mostly a case of what you see online is very much finals and semi-finals and the high quality competition, and so you get less falls because they expect much higher quality. Yeah.
I might watch it again and see if I can work out why. Then that might help work out what my form should look like.
And well, again, this is shiai, so shiai is very different. The form will change a little bit, technique changes a little bit, and that's understandable. So don't expect the full cuts of everything. But look at their posture, how they're holding themselves. Check if they're kiai, and it has to be the correct one. So if I call snei and I've hit men, I don't get the point, no matter how good it is. Make sure their kiai is correct and it's happening at the same time they hit target. So all of those things will contribute to whether they make it or not. And then also just check which side the judges are on of that attack and whether you think they can actually see it. Because if they can't see it, they are less likely to give them the point.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Em. That was awesome.
Okay, that's all right. I'm not a big person for shiai. I'm small and I don't have a lot of energy. So doing shiai for long periods of time isn't my thing. I'm much more of a kata person. But there are quite a few people in the club who do thrive on bogu, which is great. So I try and cater to everyone. I try and make sure everyone knows how to work in bogu, because that is part of the gradings when you get into down levels. But I also try and make sure that everyone enjoys the experience. So it's never an all bogu class. It's usually a portion of the class, and I divide it up. So yeah. Anyway, enjoy watching those matches. See how you go with those. But yeah, it's literally a very subjective judging game. Now I'm going to have to think about what to start running next week. Hopefully in a month or so, or what have you, we might be able to start having sessions. Potentially there may be even the room for us doing outdoor sessions somewhere as a group, because Naginata is fortunately a very socially distant style. Because these are 2.25 meters long, we are already well out of our normal range. So if you're standing there, we're literally 4 meters apart. Even when we come in to do men, we're still about 1.5 meters apart. So we have quite a bit of distance to work. So I am going to start looking at and keeping an eye on the requirements or restrictions in Melbourne, because potentially we might be able to do some in-person community outside training. Alrighty, I've blabbered at you enough. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Feel free to hit me up either by email or by the Facebook group if there's anything you want to see next week and if we want to work on. Otherwise, I will work out a schedule. Yeah, I'm going to stop recording. I'll take my break. You are welcome. You're always very welcome.